Is it just kids that vape disposables?
I'm Dr. Harry Tatton-Birch. I'm a research fellow at University College London. I do research into the types of nicotine product people are using and what effect those products are having on public health.
Harry, thanks for doing this interview. I hear a lot of stuff in my job, and I don't know if it's all true. One of the things I hear a lot is that it's just kids who use disposable vapes. You've done work on this. What's the truth?
That's a great question. So the rise in vaping due to disposables was most pronounced in the youngest age groups, so in teenagers. But these products have also become popular with adults, who often use them as an alternative to smoking cigarettes. So our data show that there are about 750,000 people in Britain who have stopped smoking cigarettes completely, and now they exclusively use disposable vape.
Whoa, hold on. Give me that number again.
750,000.
Okay. Thank you. So carry on.
Yeah, so there needs to be a balance in regulation. On the one hand, we need to prevent these products from attracting teenagers and those who would otherwise not use nicotine. On the other hand, it's important that people are not pushed towards the most harmful nicotine product, the cigarette.
Right. Okay. So you've been doing work on the smoking toolkit study for ages, and you did as part of your PhD. And the way I like to tell the story is that you could see friends of yours increasingly using disposables, and you looked at the toolkit data to see what was going on. And what happened next?
So I noticed there'd been a big rise in disposable vaping, and this rise in disposable vaping was most pronounced in the youngest age groups. So in people from the ages of like 18 to 25. And other data sources also show this trend, this rise in vaping driven by these new disposable vapes, even among younger people as well.
So I haven't been plugging people's papers in any of these interviews, but I'm going to do one with you, one of your papers, because the Smoking Toolkit study is a really interesting monthly study in England. Is it online or telephone or something? Anyway, it does every year, and it gives us really granular data. And you show the kind of this kind of swooping S-curve of uptake of vapes over a really short period of time, especially at first among the youngest in the sample. Is that right?
Yeah. To give some context to this, over the past 10 years or so, there hasn't, before disposable vapes came along, there hasn't been a big increases in vaping. It's been pretty stable across all the age groups. And it's only since disposable vapes came along that we've seen this big uptick in vaping, especially in the youngest age groups. But more recently, we're also seeing the increases in disposable vaping are also starting to happen in the older age groups, where these products are starting to gain more traction.
So it's true then, these disposable vapes, it was a real thing. I was skeptical to start with. It's a real thing. They kind of transformed the market, cannibalizing the e-cigarette market, and to a degree maybe the tobacco market among young smokers, but they also expanded that market. Is that right?
Yeah. So the data from the Smoking Toolkit study don't show a decline in the use of non-disposable vapes since disposable vapes have come along across any of the age groups. So it seems to be adding on top of anything that was happening before with other types of vapes. Or another explanation is that these disposable vapes are attracting people to vaping, and then those people later transition to other types of vape.
Oh, that's interesting. That's not what I thought. So it was taking market share, but it wasn't actually reducing sales of the other products. People kept on using the other products, but the toolkit shows additional vaping or additional numbers of vapors?
So additional numbers of vapors, as in, like if you just look at the line of non-disposable vaping, it's pretty flat because, yeah, and then disposable vaping is adding on top of that. You can think of it that way.
But as you would expect with these things, the early adopters, the younger people in the survey were the early adopters, and it's increasingly taken hold among older people in the sample. Is that right, or is that not right?
Yeah, it's gradually increasing across all age groups, but it's still increasing in the younger age groups.
It's continuing to grow in the younger age groups, but older smokers are also catching up.
They're catching up, exactly.
That's interesting. And I said older smokers because mostly, historically, vapers have all been smokers or ex-smokers, the great majority of them. Is that true of these younger disposable users, or are they more likely to have been young people who hadn't previously smoked?
The majority of the people using disposable vapes either currently smoke or they used to smoke and they've quit smoking entirely. Only a smaller proportion of those have never smoked cigarettes regularly. However, I would say that vaping in the younger age groups, in people who have never smoked, is going up. And it has been going up pretty rapidly since disposable vapes came along.
Now, you started your looking at this data from the kind of lockdown period. Two things about that. One, do you think maybe the pandemic and lockdown was something to do with it and it was a short-term thing? The other one is, I think the toolkit had been 16 up. Then when you had to shift, you couldn't do the face-to-face interviews in lockdown, you lost the 16 to 18-year-olds. And now they've come back. So are we confident that this change in disposables is a real thing independent of that? Or should we just see it as part of the maelstrom of the pandemic?
So I think it's clear that it's something different because we saw this rise in disposable vaping from about mid-2021. So it was kind of towards the tail end of the intense COVID period, at least, and the heavy lockdowns. Also, the rise has just been so pronounced that I don't think anything can explain it other than disposable vapes.
What do we know what's going on with under 18-year-olds and disposable use?
Similar things are happening with young adults and with people under 18, in that disposable vapes are the most popular product among teenagers who vape. And there's been this rise in vaping as a result of disposables.
Right, okay, so tell me if I'm going too far with this next question, because I know with a recent paper about Canadian data and some papers about US data, where you see a sharp uptick in youth vaping, in that same age group, you see an accelerated decline in youth smoking. I don't think we're seeing that in England, are we?
No. So I've recently done what's called an interrupted time series study looking at this, and we see essentially the downward trend in smoking. So smoking was declining in young people before disposable vapes came along, and it's continued to decline at a similar rate since they became popular. However, a slight nuance there is that in older age groups, it seems to have started to go up slightly in the past couple of years. So some people might say that, we don't know whether in young people, had disposables not gained popularity, maybe smoking would have gone up.
Okay, I think you've told me three things. I think you have told me vaping started off among young people and it rapidly increased month by month. You can see that really sharp increase. I think you also told me it wasn't so much taking over people who are already vaping, but seemed to be adding to the total number of vapors. And I think you've told me, I know you've told me, that it's now also established among adults. And give me that figure again of how many adult smokers have stopped smoking but are currently using disposables?
750,000.
750,000. Well, okay, so those three things, are they about right?
Yeah, they're right.
Okay.
You summarised it well.
All right, drum roll. Dr. Tatton Birch, vaping disposables is just a kid's thing, true or false?
False.
Thanks, Harry. See you later.
Thanks.